It's not always easy for us to talk about sensitive topics. Degrassi has always tried to depict realistic situations that teens experience, and this episode is no exception to that. I remember when I first saw this episode and thought, I don't even know what I would do if I were in Paige's situation. None of us really know how we'll respond being put in a situation like this until it happens. On top of that, being a teenager and not really having any sexual experience, I can't even imagine how terrifying and traumatic it would be. Up until this point, Paige has been mostly the popular mean girl, spoiled, high maintenance, and I think season 2 really starts to show us a different side to her. Someone that is kind and sympathetic, even if she does care too much about what others think. This episode also starts to show us a more vulnerable side to Paige that we haven't really seen, that really starts to make her a more complex character in my opinion. Before we start, I just want to say real quick that I started a Patreon, so if you want to become a member, the link will be in the description. So what's this episode about? During a soccer match, Paige longingly stares at one of the guys from the other team, Dean. She clearly has a crush on him. He's older and seemingly more mature. We also know that Spinner is into Paige, but she doesn't really see him as a boyfriend and more as a friend. Spinner isn't the most mature guy either, and Paige sees the complete opposite when it comes to Dean. Spinner asks her to come over so they can watch a movie, and she agrees initially.
I was gonna work on my MI project.
Can't you do that Sunday?
Sure, why not?
Chick flick all the way.
Chick flick.
Hazel tells Paige that Spinner has a crush on her, but Paige just sees him as a friend and shrugs it off.
I am looking to date up this year, remember? I don't care what you say. Spinner's got a crush. Hun, Spinner and I are just friends.
Meanwhile, Spinner is getting excited, thinking that he somewhat has a chance. He starts bragging in the locker room to the other guys.
I am a winner on the field and with the ladies.
Jimmy gives him some advice, thinking that Spinner and Paige are on the same page, no pun intended.
You're the man these days, but the stakes are still high. Empty rec room, comfortable couch, huh?
You.
Gotta lead the horse to water, my friend. You can't make her drink, but you can make her thirsty.
I just find it entertaining the way teen boys think sometimes, and Jimmy's advice just reminds me of that. It's like they're always so sure of themselves that they understand girls and then get ahead of themselves the way Spinner does. Paige talks to Dean and introduces herself, trying to seem more mature and cool.
Let me guess. Cheerleader.
Head cheerleader, but we call it Spirit Squad.
Hey, Spirit, I'm Dean.
I know. I mean, you're the competition. Know your enemy and all that, right?
Dean can clearly tell that she's younger, and he starts flirting with her and invites her and Hazel to a party at his friend's house. Paige is also young and immature to a degree. She's also a little naive and isn't completely aware of a guy's ulterior motives and how sinister their intentions can be, especially from a guy like Dean that acts like he's very interested in her and has probably done this a lot. She wants to be seen as mature by the guy that she likes. Paige and Hazel go shopping later, and then she gets a text from Spinner reminding her that she has plans with him, and then she lies by saying that her grandmother is in the hospital and that she has to cancel her plans with him.
I know what I want, and I want those shoes.
While at the video rental place, which just takes me back, I have to say, Spinner is excited for what he thinks is a date, grabbing the most generic romantic movies you ever heard.
Tender emotions, love and stardust, breakfast in the sun.
Jimmy starts joking about his date, and then Spinner finds out that she canceled. Hazel and Paige arrive at the party, where Hazel points out that they're
Totally overdressed. All we need is the attitude to back it up.
Paige walks over to Dean, talking with some other people about some band, and Paige tries to join the conversation, and things feel a little awkward.
Totally great. I pretty well love all electro slash. Dean, are you a big techno fan? I'd love to know what you think.
Sure.
While Dean walks away to get Paige a drink, one of the other girls tries to warn Paige about Dean, but she doesn't really listen to her advice.
You might just want to chill. He's a little old for you, and you're a little jealous.
Everything cool?
Perfect.
Dean is sweet-talking Paige some more and trying to make sure that she's completely on board.
Amazing colored eyes I've ever seen.
Again, he sees that she doesn't really get attention from older guys, and he uses that to his advantage whenever he gives her compliments. Hazel notices that Jimmy and Spinner showed up at the party, and she goes over to Paige to warn her, saying that they should leave, but Paige doesn't want to.
No way, and this loves.
She then asks Dean if they can go somewhere else, and they walk into the house together. Paige goes to turn on the lights, and Dean immediately turns them off, revealing his intentions right away. At first, you see how Paige doesn't pick up on what's going on. She doesn't really think anything of it, because she's under the impression that Dean is a nice guy that showers her with compliments.
You're so adorable.
I am.
Oh, yeah.
She then asks why he's whispering in the room.
Friends are Neanderthals. else. We don't want them to hear us, right?
Still not really picking up on where this is going. You see how he tries to distract her whenever she asks something that she's somewhat suspicious of.
I kind of like it dark.
I can't see anything.
There's the bed, here's the door, and here's the party.
They start kissing and then Dean leads her to the bed, asking,
Is this okay?
No. Yeah.
Notice how Paige immediately says no, but then changes her mind to yes, probably because she doesn't want Dean to get bored or to get pissed off with her. They continue to kiss and then Paige tells him to go slow and Dean just continues to go at his own speed, not taking into account that she doesn't want to and doesn't have experience and is clearly not ready.
Just take it slow, okay? Dean, I said slow. What are you doing? I don't think so. Dean!
Like I said, this seems like a very serial type of behavior, so Dean has probably done this with other young girls. As the shot pans over to the party outside the window, you still hear what is happening, and obviously since this is a teen show, they can't really get too graphic, but from what the scene is conveying, you still get that feeling of unease as you hear Paige beg for Dean to stop.
No! It's okay. Dean, stop! Get off! I said no! Stop! Please! Dean, get off me! Stop! Please! No!
At school, Paige is playing over everything in her head, probably blaming herself for what happened and wondering what she could have done differently.
So adorable.
I am.
She also clearly is on edge instead of her normal bubbly self. At her locker, she's startled by Hazel, feeling more on guard than usual.
Hazel, give me a heart attack, why don't you?
It was a joke. What's wrong with you?
Nothing.
Terry joins the conversation and they start talking about Dean. Jimmy ends up overhearing them. In class, Paige admits to Hazel that she and Dean had sex.
He didn't just kiss me. You did it with Dean?
Still not really wanting to accept what happened and convincing herself that it was just a bad first time. During lunch, Jimmy tells Spinner that Paige was at the party and that she hooked up with Dean. Later in class, Hazel tries to get more details from Paige, who ends up blowing up at her.
Come on, Paige, give me something. I'm dying here.
I'll change seats if you don't shut up.
In the hallway, Spinner confronts Paige about the party and about lying to him.
And Dean, how's he doing? I know what happened, okay?
Were you in the room with me? Because I don't think you were.
Paige, who is already on edge, gets triggered when Spinner touches her. When he makes an assumption about her, he ends up going too far and she ends up slapping him.
You lied to me.
Don't ever touch me.
Why not? Everybody else does.
I literally did not remember that she slapped Spinner. When I rewatched this, I audibly gasped. In the bathroom, Hazel talks to Paige about what happened at the party, and Paige admits to Hazel what happened to her.
It wasn't what I thought. First time. Trying to be beautiful or something.
Hazel tells Paige what happened wasn't sex.
I wanted him to want to be with me. I didn't even want to do it, Hazel. I said no over and over. He just pushed me down harder. He didn't stop. He wouldn't stop.
Paige is still at a point where she's not ready to accept what happened, but she thinks she can just move on from it very quickly. And when Hazel confronts her about it again later,
What Dean did was illegal. You know that, right?
So I didn't dress like a slut. I didn't drink. I didn't come on to him in front of the whole party.
Paige thinks part of it is her fault.
I guess I didn't ask him to go upstairs either.
You said no.
It doesn't matter. I can deal with it. My business, my problem. I'm fine.
She's also accepted that she's not going to do anything about it either, because she doesn't want to talk about it. Before we move on to part 2, let's talk about the subplots. The subplots in this two-parter aren't connected. Starting with part 1, JT, as we know, is childish and a goofball.
Oh, my clown wig. The possibilities.
He's also extremely unorganized, and Toby has had enough of his mess in the locker that they share.
It's your lunch from last week.
From solid to liquid in 7 days. Fascinating.
We're not animals, we're human beings, and this is disgusting.
It's a man cave.
It's a toxic dump.
The older JT plots always entertain me. Ryan Cooley just brings a fun vibe to the way he plays JT, and he's so believable as this kid, the way he acts. I just find myself smiling anytime there's a subplot with JT, and I love the back and forth with him and Toby. It can be really funny.
What does this say to you?
Severe mental illness. You gave her my photo album?
Toby decides to put some caution tape down to divide their share of the locker.
Why do you get to decide what my boundaries are?
Because you have none. My way or the highway?
My way or the highway?
JT, being a little jerk, decides to get even and cut the sleeves to Toby's sweatshirt when it ends up crossing the caution tape. When Toby discovers this later, he and JT get into trouble when they start fighting in the hallway. They end up making up when JT lets Toby cut off the sleeve to his shirt. It's a cute little subplot. I don't really have any complaints about it. The next subplot is about JT and Liberty. Toby brings up Liberty, which JT doesn't like.
Just go for liberty already.
Arf.
That's not how she feels about you. In fact, she finds you fascinating.
Liberty starts her assignment acting like JT.
Yuck it up, Tobster. I'm JT York, here to talk to you about my all-round favorite subject, myself. Then I went on to slay the ladies in powder blue ruffles.
Obviously embarrassing him in front of the whole class.
They call me the Terminator.
I love how even Mr. Simpson is laughing in the background. Later by the lockers, everyone is still laughing, and JT is the only one that doesn't find it funny.
It wasn't that funny.
Trust me, it was.
Imitation is the lowest form of humor.
It was a homage, a tribute.
He attempts to get back at Liberty by making fun of her, but it doesn't really turn out the way he wants.
You take that back. I do too have friends. Oh, and sometimes even my parents like me. Loser. Freak.
Later, JT makes a comment as Liberty passes by him,
I'd like to work on my artsy side.
But that might distract you from being, Bebo Supreme.
and this starts an argument between the two.
I'm not a geek, JT dork. Sucky baby, poor sport, Chris face, goody two shoes.
JT thinks Liberty is boring, and he pushes her to draw on the lockers with permanent marker.
You want one true thing, Liberty? You're boring. Word. You want another one? Fun. F-U-N. Something you wouldn't know if it came up and bit you in the butt. Fun enough for you?
Because she's so desperate to prove to him that she's cool. Here we start to see why a lot of people like them as a couple. Because they started out being annoyed with each other, they definitely have bickering couple energy. After vandalizing the lockers, JT confronts Liberty, and she thinks she's such a badass for breaking the rules.
I'm edgy, JT. I'm on fire.
You're on something.
No stranger to danger, my friend. I laugh at authority.
JT gets caught by Raditch, and at first Liberty finds it amusing until she finds out from Toby that if JT gets in trouble again, he'll be sent to private school, which makes Liberty feel bad. She later comes clean to Raditch.
I was acting on impulse, sir.
Told you I didn't do it.
It was truant, rebellious, misdirected.
Okay, Mr. York, you are free to go.
There's also a cute interaction between the two in the last scene, when Liberty finally apologizes to JT,
I think I might also owe you an apology.
and unexpectedly gets a compliment from him.
You fessed up. That was cool.
JT York just call me cool.
Don't let it go to your head. See you around, Ribble.
Like I said, I like how the plotline starts to establish JT and Liberty's friendship. It's a fun subplot. What else can I say? In the next part, the episode starts off with Paige having a nightmare about Dean.
Good time at that party together, didn't we?
Dean, you.
I what? I didn't do anything. Just had a good time.
Wanted it, and don't you dare tell anyone any different.
Stop. No.
Later, as she's walking to school, Terry tells her about the opportunity for their band to perform for record executives, so they ask Hazel to join the band because they're still not talking to Ashley.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
Hazel, can we please keep it to a dull roar?
In class, Terry reads her poem and Spinner makes a childish comment.
I wish I knew just what to do to make this secret wish come true.
Because my poem smells like poo.
Ashley then reads her poem for the class.
It happens to other people. You say how sad, you say poor thing. But when it's you, it's something else. It's everything. It started with something minor, went from there to something worse.
Expressing the isolation she feels since everyone stopped hanging out with her.
The friends you loved and thought you knew just disappeared. It felt so weird, half blessing, half curse. It happens to other people. You say how sad, you say poor thing.
While getting ready for rehearsal, Hazel sure is trying, I'll give her that.
Hazel, must you?
Terry walks in and Paige rains all over her parade.
You wore that last year, and cheesy pop chicks are over. Why do you have to be so out of touch?
At least Terry stands up to Paige here.
Why do you have to be so mean?
New wardrobe.
No. Pardon? What didn't you get? I said no.
Tara.
Paige doesn't understand that word. Never has.
Even though she doesn't know why Paige is in a snappy mood. After giving it a try,
I wish I knew just what to do, yeah, to make the secret wish come true.
This isn't working.
Paige storms out of the rehearsal and goes over to Ashley's house, where she asks her to join the band because she wants her to write something deeper.
Your poem is great. It's about something real, and it made me think. We need to sing about real stuff. Like how it feels when you're dumped. Or, like, abuse.
And after hearing her poem, Paige was moved by Ashley's ability to write about something deeper. Ashley decides to take Paige's words to heart.
This really isn't working for me.
But the stories are incredible. From girls our age. You wouldn't believe some of the things I read.
But when she finds out about what Ashley wrote about, she doesn't feel as confident as she did.
Let's use the original lyrics, okay?
This is way more interesting.
I don't really care. I like the other version better.
Ashley approaches her and asks why she has to change the lyrics to the song. Paige just gets angrier with her and starts yelling at her while everyone is circling around them.
I said something real, not something you bought off the net and don't know anything about.
I'm allowed to imagine.
No, you're not.
At first, Ashley does change the lyrics, but after Hazel reveals that she won't be able to perform, and Ashley will be singing the solo, that's when she decides to start playing the lyrics that she originally wrote for the song.
You took my body and tore it in half. You took my child with my heart in my lap. If I'm singing, those are the lyrics I'll perform.
No, I can't believe I wanted you back in this band.
Paige gets upset and leaves the band room. Ashley follows her and gets angry with her for not allowing them to sing the song with her lyrics.
I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I keep trying to forget, but I can't. He's in my nightmare, and I can't play that song. I know it's a better version.
We'll play the other ones.
Paige at this point isn't able to hide the truth any longer and breaks down in front of Ashley, who then realizes why Paige has been upset about the lyrics of the song. She sits by her side and comforts her. I know that Ashley isn't well liked by a lot of people, but this moment just reminded me that I think that she gets hated on a little too much. Even though she wants to perform the song her way, she also sees that for Paige it is triggering, and she encourages her to talk to a counselor, but Paige is still too afraid to talk to anyone about it. At the performance, Paige sees Dean in the crowd smiling at her, and at first Paige freezes and turns away from the crowd, not wanting to perform.
He's here.
Who?
Him. I can't.
But then she repeats the lyrics to Ashley's song and faces the crowd again with confidence and begins to perform the song, finally confronting what she went through head on.
It happens to other people. You say how sad. You say poor thing.
Dean, the coward that he is, gets up and walks out while Paige is still performing. Watching him, realizing how she took her power back in that moment that he stole from her. It's a good moment that allows Paige to finally come to terms with what Dean did to her while also taking the pain and reflecting it back to him in front of everyone. Even if they are unaware of who she is singing about, he knows. The episode ends with Paige gathering the confidence to go to the guidance counselor and finally talk about what happened to her.
I'm ready to talk at least. Well, as ready as I'll ever be.
I think this was a good episode that introduces us more to a vulnerable side of Paige that we haven't really seen. I also think the topic is tackled pretty well, and it allows us to see how someone deals with something like this when it happens to them. We saw how Paige wanted to blame herself for how she dressed or how she acted, and that's a common response. No matter how someone acts, that doesn't give a person the right to do whatever they want. And even though she blames herself for going to the party in the first place, by the end of the episode she's able to confront what happened to her and finally blame the person who is actually at fault, Dean. I also like how this episode was able to tie in the Ashley conflict and also showed a mature side of Paige to approach Ashley first and apologize for everything. This was a good episode overall. Like I said, the earlier seasons give me such a nostalgic feeling, but also revisiting them and taking them apart like this, I realize that these episodes still hold up being an example of how to depict heavy subject matter like this. I hope you enjoyed this analysis, and I'll see you in the next one.